Welcome to the latest episode of The Independent. I'm Pete Sampson, joined as always by my co-host Matt Fortuna. It is Syracuse week, which we will not spend very much time on at all. Also, today on the show, Eric Mac Lain joins to talk a little bit about college football playoff rankings. Obviously, he's with the ACC network, so we want to have a kind of a pro-Miami voice on here to talk that out in a reasonable fashion because Matt, I don't know how online you are when the rankings come out on Twitter in particular, but like the For You tab on Twitter on Tuesday nights, it's gross, man. It is. It makes me feel bad about college football when I sort of see what people are tweeting about when these rankings come out.
I avoid the For You tab in season because I just think that's not good for anybody's mental health. I'm online in the sense of like I'm tweeting out the rankings and my opinions on them, and then you see enough of like the opinions out there where you don't need to read all your mentions, and it's kind of down and dirty and nasty. I'll say this though, like as critical as we were of the ACC's blitz last week, it kind of worked. Like no one was talking about Miami until this week, outside of like the Miami people, and I don't think it's a crime against humanity that Notre Dame's ranked ahead of Miami. I actually have a much bigger beef with Notre Dame being ranked ahead of Alabama as far as like the on paper metrics. But I think Notre Dame's on the short list of teams that could win a national championship this year. Is the resume great? Not particularly, but again, I think they're a really good football team. So I don't have like a huge beef with them being ranked where they are. But the Miami one's interesting because the ACC is kind of painting itself in a corner here where they're probably going to have a championship game that Miami's not in. And there are only so many spots to go around. I think we all do agree at the very least that Miami is the best team in the ACC, even if they won't be the ACC champion this year, and what ultimately happens with it. And again, you thought, at least I thought, maybe I hoped, a new committee chair, Mac Rhodes out, Hunter Year check-in. Maybe we'll get like clarity on a lot of this stuff. No. And it was every bit as bad as it's been. I mean, I tweeted out Nicole Auerbach's back-to-back tweets of the call, and I'll repeat them here, just to give you a sense. And for the record, and real ones know, I said this in 2020 when Notre Dame was on the 5-4 bubble after the ACC title game. These guys make it up as they go along. Don't try to read too much into it, as fun as that can be. But in back-to-back statements last night, Hunter Yurachek said, Oregon still gets credit for beating Penn State, even though the Nittany Lions fell off after that game. In the next breath, he says, Virginia is hurt by beating Louisville because Louisville fell out of the rankings, and that was one of Virginia's best wins. That was all in one call. And then he got asked. Now, the TV back and forth with Reese Davis, he got asked, the first question was about Notre Dame, Miami.
Which I appreciated.
Let's cut to the chase.
It is the most interesting thing.
Yeah, probably. I think so. It's specific to this podcast, absolutely. Yeah. He said, I quote, we really compared the losses of those two teams, unquote. And then he added, quote, we really haven't compared those two teams. They haven't been in similar comparative pools to date, but Miami is creepy up into that range where they will be compared to ND. If something happens above them, end quote. And then I tweeted out the kind of protocol for the voting process. And like he, by the letter of the law, was clear and correct in that 9 through 12 are one group, 5 through 8 is another group, 1 through 4 is another group, and 13 through 16 is another group. So Miami being at 13 is not in that pool where they would be compared head to head with Notre Dame. Now, if BYU were to lose at Cincinnati this week, they probably would be. If Utah were to lose, which I don't think is going to happen, they probably would be. But Notre Dame's at 9, so they could just as easily move up, to the top 8 if Oregon were to lose this week. It's an interesting situation. I'll say this. I want to make sure I got the exact odds right on here with our friends at DraftKings. This is not something I would sweat out at all if I'm a Notre Dame fan, for the record. Like, it's
making the playoff?
Yes. You would?
I would a little bit on the like Miami just gets close enough where head to head is suddenly activated. I still think Notre Dame is going to make it.
Okay, just for the record here, on DraftKings, the team with the best odds of making the playoff is Ole Miss at minus 4,000. The team with the second best, the two teams with the second best odds at minus 2,500 are tied, Texas Tech and Notre Dame. So right. Vegas, which knows everything, thinks Notre Dame is as sure of a thing to be in as possible. And The one scenario that would worry me if I'm a Notre Dame fan is the Big Ten chaos scenario where USC and Michigan win out and the Big Ten's fighting for 4 teams in. And I just don't think that's going to happen because I don't think USC wins this week, although they could. I really don't think Michigan beats Ohio State, although, again, I've said that before and have that got my face. So that to me is that to me is trickier of a situation for Notre Dame than the Miami one. What's Miami going to do? Beat Pitt 70-7 and stay there? Like, I just don't see it.
No, I don't either. I think my concern for Notre Dame is BYU wins the Big 12.
Yes.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But then the Big 12 forces their way into having 2 teams go. And then Alabama wins the SEC. If those 2 things happen, Notre Dame is in big trouble. The odds of those 2 things happening, pretty low. But I think Notre Dame is going to make it. Oddly, Lincoln Riley can make this all happen for Notre Dame this weekend. I mean, Notre Dame gets an assist from Pat Narduzzi one week and Lincoln Riley the next. I mean, that's what a time to be alive.
Well, I'll take it one step further. If Lincoln Riley does it this week, there is a good chance there will be a USC at Oklahoma playoff game, and that I would pay top dollar for to sit anywhere in that stadium.
That would be a fun one. But yeah, I think overall, like I'm with you that the ACC's chest poundings, and like we had Eric Mac Lain on to, like, he has a sizable chest, as I mentioned in the interview. There's a lot to pound. So I think that that's sort of worked. Like, I think people are like, wait a minute, they played, as if no one remembered that they played 2 weeks ago. But my point is more, Notre Dame has gotten a lot better. They're very consistent in that. They're going to they're going to close the season on a 10-game win streak with double-digit wins in all 10 games. They have not messed around, really, short of Boston College. Like, they're a team that not just should make the playoff, but has a chance to go on and do something in the playoff. And I think ultimately that is the ultimate eye test. And I realize you can look at metrics like FEI or S&P Plus, and Notre Dame rates very highly in both of those. I just think, like, you look at Notre Dame, I want teams in the playoff that I think can, like, do something in the playoff. And I think Notre Dame can do more in the playoff than Miami can. Certainly more than BYU or Utah. I'm not even so certain. I wouldn't say Notre Dame can do more can Notre Dame do more in the playoff than Alabama? That's probably true too.
Could, yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think Notre Dame needs to bow down to anybody this season. No. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship, but I think it's wide open. I think Ohio State's clearly the best team, but I don't think they're unbeatable. And after that, take your pick. Notre Dame, Georgia, Texas Tech, Indiana. I think there's
going to be an awesome bracket.
It's going to be an awesome bracket. And I don't think there's
going to be so much more fun this year than last year.
Right, because Boise State was a 3 seed last year, which I'm still not over. However, I get that you want to be, like, on the opposite end of Ohio State, where you're placed, and I guess 8-9 probably wouldn't put you there. Although, shoot, you got a road game in Norman against this Oklahoma offense. I think that's as good of a. I'd rather that than a home game against Alabama or some of these other teams. I just, to Oklahoma's credit, they're getting it done, but I think that's a car that's running on empty right now. But I don't think it's going to be, this is the favorable side, this is the unfavorable side. Yes, you want to avoid Ohio State, but I just think it's going to be a hot mess any way you look about it. And there aren't going to be any ways to kind of backdoor your way into the semifinals or championship this year.
Before we get started moving forward on some other Notre Dame news, thank you to our friends at Home Run and Pizza. You may be thinking, what do I eat at 12:30 a.m. on Saturday night after Thanksgiving? Home Run and Pizza, I would suggest. Perhaps you could watch Notre Dame Stanford as well. So it's not just for people who need something to eat when their kids have sports practices. It's also for people who have to stay up all night to watch their college football team. So Home Run and Pizza, friend of my freezer, friend of the pod.
Excuse me. After a long day of college football where I forgot to eat because I'm watching every game and covering them too, including past midnight, I could house an entire Home Run and Pizza all by myself. Grab it out of the freezer and in no time catch up on what you should have been eating during halftime. A fun fact, Home Run Inn is actually the original tavern-style pizza, the OG of cutting pizza into squares, real Chicago tavern style. Thanks again to our friends at Home Run Inn Pizza. I will add one more thing on the playoff. Again, I get like the fatalistic fan approach of what if disaster strikes and we get left out. I get it. I'm not being dismissive of it. I'm not really concerned about Notre Dame not making the playoff. But they're in a weird spot where literally every single thing is on the table for them right now, as far as possibly moving up to host a game to maybe missing it all entirely, which again, it would take absolute chaos on multiple levels, I think, for that to happen. This committee seems to love them. Like the last chair couldn't stop talking about CJ Carr. This chair kept talking about Alabama's bad run game, which means I guess he loves Jeremiyah Love, which we all do. But they seem to really love it. Like even like I'm not saying one team's better than the other, but like Notre Dame versus Alabama, 9 versus 10 right now. Jeff Sagarin's strength of schedule rankings: Notre Dame's 20, Bama's 4. Against top 10 opponents, Notre Dame's 0-2, Bama's 1-0. Against top 30 opponents, Notre Dame's 2-2, Bama's 6-1. I don't know how you could look at the bodies of work and put Bama down there. Like I guess you couldn't put them above Oklahoma after losing to them at home, but that's still a very, very formidable football team that's played a murderer's row schedule. And yes, they deserve all the hate in the world for their week 1 performance against Florida State. But this committee seems to love Notre Dame. That's a good thing. Enjoy it. I'll say this, though, and again, I don't think it's some great football tragedy that Notre Dame would make it over Miami. I think head-to-head is important. I think the way teams are playing down the stretch is every bit as important. We'll see what Miami does these next 2 weeks. I will say, though, and we're all guilty of reading too much into these things and wondering what it means, because it seemed like until this year, close losses didn't matter, and now they seem to.
Yeah, the quality loss I thought was not a thing, and now it's a thing.
Yeah, now it's a thing, which I don't really get. I don't want to say Lincoln Riley's right, but a lot of these coaches might be right. Like, why would we play Notre Dame if even when we beat them, we get nothing out of it? Hate to say it, but you're not wrong. Now you play them because of money more than anything, but you're not wrong. Like
some
USC,
I mean, look, and yet if Miami had played Notre Dame a year ago instead of backing out of it, understandably so, but backing out of it, and they had won in South Bend, they would have been in the playoff last year. So I don't know.
No, that wouldn't have helped them get in the ACC title game.
No, they would have been an at-large team last year in 2024 if they had won at Notre Dame.
It'd be the exact same conversations now, though, because they wouldn't be in the.
Yeah, I just think they would have made it last year. This I don't know. This is
maybe over SMU, but maybe.
Yeah, this is just a bigger. I think it's a bigger conversation point because the conferences, the way that they are, the way that they can draw up schedules or not draw up schedules, it's a disaster because you don't get enough good on good matchups within these leagues to know.
Right.
You know why Miami's ACC schedule? They played 2 good ACC teams and lost to both of them. Like I don't get it. Like I would love to see Miami, Georgia Tech. Hell, maybe this conference should get to a point where they choose who goes to their conference championship games. Like they just make up their tiebreakers on the fly. Because like I guarantee you, Jim Phillips would be like, damn it. Like, why can't we have Miami playing in the ACC championship game? Like, I understand we have these tiebreaker protocols, but it would be best for the league if Miami was playing in that game. And they're not going to be, barring like absolute ridiculously absurd results happening over the next 2 weeks.
These mega conferences, and it's like the classic pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered analogy, right? Like you're seeing it with the Big Ten right now. It's just a hot mess internally with Michigan and USC and yada, yada, yada. But just keeping it strictly to football terms, I think Michigan is not good at all this year. And they're 8-2. You know why they're 8-2 and not 7-5? Because last year they played Oregon, at Indiana, and at Illinois. And this year they played Purdue, Nebraska, and Wisconsin instead.
Yeah.
And they barely won all those games.
Weird how that works.
They won by 14, but it was a close game for 3 quarters. Like, and yet if they don't play Oklahoma and they play directional U, they're 9-1 and everyone's talking about how good they are. Like I hate that like every coach's worst fear about schedule strength is coming true right now because we want to see more of these games and the committee is not doing its part to really reward those.
No, it's a mess. It's a mess. I think Notre Dame will ultimately benefit from the mess, and understandably so. I think Notre Dame is a borderline great team who's playing really good football, and you watch Notre Dame. I think in some ways I watched Notre Dame this year more than last year, and think like, yep, that team could do it. Like this is, they've got the material to to make the national championship game, and I realized they made it last year. But I think this year's team is ultimately better than last year, and they can beat you in so many different ways, as the committee apparently has been watching. I would not. Notre Dame is a team I would not want to play. Like we always pick out teams like, man, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round. Notre Dame, I would not want to see at all. If I was Oklahoma, I would be ticked, even if I was hosting and Notre Dame was coming to me, because like Notre Dame. I'm not saying they're going to be like Ohio State last year, where they are hot going into it, but I don't know. I just look at Notre Dame and think that they are going to have a real problem for somebody in the first round, even whether that's Oregon, maybe if it's Alabama, Ole Miss. Like if Ole Miss hosts Notre Dame, I would be ticked off if I was Ole Miss.
Interim head coach Charlie Weiss Jr.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it'd be great. What great narrative there. But I think Notre Dame is going to be a real pain in the butt for somebody.
Yeah, I can easily see Notre Dame mowing down their first down opponent. As you get to the quarterfinals, we'll see. Like I'd love to see Texas Tech out of the Big 12. Now the way they're winning, I think, is really impressive because they've got a damn good defense. But Oregon, we'll see this week. I'm not critical of Oregon, but the schedule hasn't exactly held up strong. But I mean, Notre Dame, like, this team's not going to get in, so it's probably irrelevant to conversation. But I think I said this off air to you and Eric, like Utah's doing what Utah does, where it's like they get hot at the right time and they mow down everyone in the second half of the season, and they just don't have the resume to get in. But it's like, thank God we don't got to play that team, right? Like they'll go, used to be the Pac-12 title game. Now they're probably out of the Big 12 title game. But, they're number of teams in that range where I'd much credit Oklahoma. Like you can only play who you play. You can only win the games you can win. Credit to Oklahoma for doing that. But I'd still much rather play them than a lot of other teams. And like Ole Miss, I think the jury's still out on. Like talk about a team that's played nobody. They did win at Oklahoma, but I mean that, that's been a very, very light SEC schedule relative to say Alabama or Georgia, what they've had to face. And by the way, I want to pat everyone on the back here. I could have missed it. I was really ready to get angry last night about people trying to force 3-loss Texas in the conversation, and they are not doing it. Thank you. Good riddance. Good on all of you. Lane Kiffin did go on McAfee yesterday and took a shot at Brian Kelly. I thought he was taking a shot at Steve Sarkisian initially. Oh, you didn't see this?
No.
Oh, they had Kiffin on because despite what he said, he has been given an ultimatum, as your outlet and others have reported, about like, you need to decide here, buddy. And he said, I think sarcastically, he was in a yoga class with his AD earlier in the day. And he said he's in a group text with Kirby and Sark. And they said, 1 loss knocks you out of the top 10, 2 loss knocks you out of the top 25, 3 losses knocks you out of your job. And then he said that's what happened to Brian Kelly this year, which is true. However, Sark's still sitting pretty with 3 losses, and Lane lost 3 games last year. So I think he's, exaggerating just a little bit. But that will be an interesting side piece to all of this, because that's a team that's going to be in the playoff, and they literally might not have a coach. And by the way, this would be the second time Lane Kiffin gets kicked off a team that's in the playoff because he can't keep his eyes from wandering. Gotta love it.
What a guy. This sport is the best. Other than Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. in the month of November.
On the For You tab on Twitter.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't know how much Syracuse we want to talk. I do think it says everything about the state of college football this year, that Syracuse's win over UConn has aged very well, and their win over Clemson is not.
It's what a sport. It's the best. It's the best.
It's a great sport. Right.
Let's kick it forward. Eric Mac Lain, friend of the show, fellow bald, from the ACC Network, hops on, talk a little Notre Dame, Miami, ACC, college football playoff, and all that. So let's get to Eric. Please welcome friend of the show, Eric Mac Lain of the ACC Network. And Eric, we crossed paths briefly at Pittsburgh over the weekend. Didn't get a chance to say hi. I got to say, Aaron Donald isn't the only former player who looked like he could still suit up. You were custom suit. It was a good look, man. You had the whole thing happening.
I got to say, I did not think I would come on the show and be compared somewhat to Aaron Donald physique-wise, but I appreciate that. And when he took his shirt off, I was like, man, that's why I didn't make it in the NFL right there. That makes sense. And not make it in the NFL, not make it two. Like, I'm not trying to boost anything. But thank you, man. The suit, I always say when it gets colder, my wardrobe heightens immensely. Like, I've got some cool weather stuff, which makes no sense. I live in the hottest.
Your Indiana roots, are there.
That's
they never go away.
That's right. That's right.
So I guess obviously we're going to talk college football playoff stuff today, but as an ACC advocate, do you feel like you're shouting into the void most weeks, or do you feel like people are starting to pick up maybe we need to look a little bit more closely at Miami?
Yeah, I think the louder I yell, the more people pay attention. I guess that's just what it is. I mean, that's kind of the key at ESPN. That's what we do. We scream louder, and you get bid on bigger shows there. So it's an interesting thing, man. Just because we have this unique, I guess I don't think it's too unique situation here, with Notre Dame specifically and with Miami. And to me, it even goes more than that. I look at these other, 2-loss teams in front of Miami and just, wonder, because we say timing of losses doesn't matter. And we, just point at different things from a negative point of view. But then you have, people that, straight double down. I think, Matt, you're the one that retweeted the interaction that I saw of, they're using one criteria for this team, and then they go against that same criteria for another team. And we're just like, how do we keep up? At the end of the day, can we just admit they're wanting to do their agenda, whatever that might be, to get their teams in the respective spots? And, I think it is, such a fascinating thing. And it did make sense when the first rankings came out, and there was such a drastic gap, between Miami and Notre Dame, for them to say that, okay, now, do I think you were correct? No, I think you were wrong with that, and why you ranked, Miami so far away. But now that they are inching closer, and yet still, I hear the words coming out of, well, we don't compare these. We haven't thought anything of it. What? What do you mean? How is that possible? We saw the game, on the field, and for you to sit here and ask me, has Notre Dame not looked drastically better since then? Yes, 100%. But it still happened, and it's still a thing about that. And I think the biggest kicker to me, guys, is this is not a Notre Dame team that's in the SEC. This isn't a Notre Dame team that's in the Big Ten. They play an ACC schedule. I mean, these are two comparable teams that played each other. And so at the end of the day, for me, that's probably the biggest frustration when you kind of see that. And I'm not even necessarily – I'm yelling and screaming about Notre Dame, being ahead of Miami because of the head-to-head. I don't necessarily think Notre Dame shouldn't be in the playoff, but Miami should be. If Notre Dame's in, Miami has to be in. So that's kind of the thing for me. And, of course, that is assuming a big assumption here that Miami wins out the rest of the season. We've seen how they finish in November. So, trying to have a not a yelling match conversation about it. Both these teams are good enough to be in the college football playoff. There's some others in front of them that if you just strip the logos off, I don't know if they're getting that same credit that maybe they are.
So to go back a minute, because we're talking about your playing career that never was, we have this thing called the independent bump where everyone who comes on to our show, something good happens to them. We went over it last week. Stanford Steve was on last week, got extended by ESPN days later. The two I forgot to mention, though, last year we had Ian Book on. He got signed by the Eagles practice squad, now has a Super Bowl ring, thanks to us. I think we deserve a piece of that. And the other one, Brady Quinn, the week he went on, he got called up to the NFL. Now, I'm not saying EJ Manuel or Troy Aikman need to pull a Mark Sanchez here and get you a better broadcasting job. But if it were to happen, maybe we'd be partially to blame for that. So I'm just saying, your NFL dreams are not off the table.
Yeah, 1%, 2%, 5%. I mean, we can negotiate, whatever that looks like. Y'all get me on a practice squad next week. It's coming to you. Big donation.
Get a ring either way. Back to Miami. How can they actually get in the playoff? Like, logistically speaking, like independent of the arguments, like they're not going to be in the ACC title game unless chaos reigns. And I suppose that could happen. It's the ACC. But what's a realistic path for them to get in here?
Yeah, I think what will be interesting is who loses. Obviously they have to have help. right? I mean, there's no question about that, where this committee, has really placed them. But the other interesting piece of it is we have another, head-to-head opponent, or excuse me, a common opponent here in Pittsburgh at the end of the season, where let's say they hang 50 on them. I don't know. If the win is more impressive than what we just saw from Notre Dame and that gap continues to close, I just don't see how you don't directly evaluate them. And again, that's me cornering these two against each other. I hate that I have to do that. I think Notre Dame's a great team. I think they're a very good team, but it's just that defense mechanism of Miami played them. And it just, I'm going to keep saying that. Some Notre Dame fans, maybe even y'all, think that's ridiculous to keep bringing up in week one, but I do think they need some help. Is that Alabama losing in the Iron Bowl at night at Jordan-Hare? Very possible. We've seen that more than often, when this game should be tied up or should be an easy win for Alabama. Is it an Oklahoma team stumbling somewhere? I mean, there's certain aspects I think that do have to happen. I feel no confidence at all that if Miami wins out, if Notre Dame wins out, that they've showed their hand. And now, do I agree with it? No, but I do not have confidence that if those two situations and no one else in front of them in the close, 5 slot, proximity there lose, will they be able to get high enough? I don't think the committee will do that, unfortunately.
I was interested in how you feel about, so there's an argument that I don't know if it's an argument or people just shouting it out on Twitter, but just like, well, why even play the game? And I'm like, well, it was a great game, and then there were there 18 other games combined between those two teams. So, like, those count too. And I'm with you. Like, if the Miami-Notre Dame game happened exactly like it happened last weekend, Miami would be ahead of Notre Dame. Like, that is, I think, a certainty. But, like, how do you feel about the everything else? The Miami's, their SMU Louisville games, USF and Florida, I think, were good performances by Miami. Those are kind of like Notre Dame's Navy and Arkansas in some ways, frisky teams that are a little bit lower. So, like, how do you sort of balance the everything else after Notre Dame Miami, which, like, I know some Miami people feel like that Miami dominated that game. Like, they definitely dominated the first 3 quarters. But, like, how do you feel about the argument, like, hey, there are another 18 combined games between these two teams? Like, we got to evaluate that too.
Yeah. And again, I think that's what's interesting, because you do have extremely comparable schedules in regards to opponent, because Notre Dame plays an ACC-heavy schedule there. I don't think – I hear what you're saying, because, Florida's not good at the end of the day, but they're not Arkansas.
But they can be annoying, right?
For sure. And they beat Texas.
Arkansas is not good, but they can be annoying.
Correct. I think they're, similar in a fact there, but you're right. I think when you look at Louisville loss, Louisville had a great plan. They attacked it very well. Louisville looked great at that point. And that's the frustrating too about these, opponents that don't hold up their end of the bargain, because you have a Louisville team that, my gosh, they look like they can be in the college football playoff against Miami. And then they just piss down their leg the rest of the season, and everyone loses that credibility. That loss now looks worse and worse as the weeks go on. But in that moment and the execution that those guys played with, it was flawless. And I think it even, kind of highlighted a way, okay, if you're going to beat these guys, this is how you do it. Eliminate the pass rush. Take the pass rush out by having quick game. They also had a guy in Chris Bell, who might end up being a first-round draft pick, play out of his mind. He had 90 yards of yak. That's incredible when you look at the extra effort and ability of a guy to break tackles and to take over a game there. And then, of course, that being Carson Beck's worst game of his career. Guys on different pages, the end of the game where, to be honest, they're probably marching down to a minimum kick a field goal to go to overtime there, and the guy runs the wrong route and it's a pick and the game's over, and everybody's looking around like, what the heck just happened there? So, I think that game's fascinating. And same thing with, SMU. We were at that game, seeing it live in person. It felt like to me that Miami walked into that game thinking they were going to dominate just by the logo on their helmet. It didn't look like an inspired football team. It didn't look like a football team that, was desperate and knew that, hey, one more stumbling block and this could all be over. And that, I think, is unfortunate, because we – in the ACC as an independent and in general in college football, do not have the opportunity to learn those type of lessons that late in the season in a loss when you already have another one. Now, a pro team, an NFL team, any other league, you can, and you can use that to catapult, like Miami kind of has since that game, beating people by 30 plus points when they played in these last, 2 contests there. But I think that's the unfortunateness that they didn't have, that sense of urgency. And we're not talking about any of this. And Miami's in a great position and can win. So there is that, let's look in the mirror a little bit. And I'm not, ignorant to that and truly know it. So I think there's certainly something there. You look at the strength of schedule, and I have it on my phone. I'm sure you guys can cite it or know it. These teams are just comparable enough to me, man, where it just the head-to-head, it should matter. And maybe it will. Maybe we'll get to the very end of this thing, and there's a big, weird surprise at the very end. I don't know. I don't know if I have confidence that that'll happen.
It's interesting, right? Because Oklahoma's how many spots ahead of Alabama after beating them? And I don't want to say a fluky win, but they were outplayed.
Dude, listen, Oklahoma's offense is horrific. Yeah. I mean, who wants to see that in a playoff, honestly?
Notre Dame does.
Notre Dame would love to see that.
Right. Yeah, the opponent would love to see that. I think it's really comparable and similar to me for Florida State a couple of years ago. Now, I know that was a much smaller sample size, and Florida State would have been in a 12 game playoff or a 12-team playoff there, but that offense is on life support. I mean, it is not good. And listen, John Mateer hurt his hand, and he's back trying to do everything for his team, and that's an elite defense. But I don't know. I don't think it's justified where they are. And I think there's the inflation of these rankings too. I mean, this is probably a bigger picture that y'all probably feel good about with me. Why is Missouri ranked? Why is Tennessee ranked? Who have they played? Who have they, beaten? I know who they've lost to, but do they have great wins over 500 Power 4 teams? No. So I think the key reason, again, going back to my thought of we have this initiative and we're going to do everything we can to protect it. They rank them to strengthen resumes, to boost resumes, to strengthen. If Oklahoma does lose to these guys, then that heightens everything else to a ranked Missouri team this weekend. So to me, man, it's just laughable when you look at it, from certain aspects.
Why was Pitt ranked last week, right? Same thing, right?
Maybe they will be again after this weekend. Yeah. So you've seen Notre Dame a couple times, felt like they've gotten a lot better. What stands out to you about Notre Dame's sort of path from Labor Day weekend where frankly they got pushed around on the line of scrimmage, couldn't get Jeremiyah Love involved, maybe didn't know what they had or didn't have in their quarterback. Secondary was all over the place. Like, how much better are they? Like, what impresses you most about like where Notre Dame is today versus where they were Labor Day weekend?
Yeah, this is Miami fans. Just check out for a second. Don't listen to anything else. They're good. They're playing really well, and they're fun to watch. Listen, that's why I don't hate. I mean, that's a super strong word. I don't like that we are in this position because I do think Notre Dame is a good football team. I think they're a really good football team. I think they're big. I think they've gotten better. I think they've figured out, on defense and look light years better than where they were the first couple of games of the season. I think they feel really confident in their secondary. I mean, watching them live and in person against a Pittsburgh team that was on fire offensively just extinguished that from the jump. I mean, from get-go, after that first drive there, it was Pittsburgh could do nothing. There was nothing that they could do. I thought the DBs were in phase every single route. They were almost running the route, for these guys, obviously getting their hands on the football and scoring twice in the secondary there. The blitzes, the green dog, cross dog games up front from the defensive line. I just was really impressed with that. And then you see the run game and how special, Jeremiyah Love is. I mean, that dude, I was disappointed, and maybe that's, a boost to Miami because they shut him down. But also I felt like Notre Dame didn't use him the right way in that game.
Right.
Felt like they went away from it, or I don't know. It's like they forgot that he's one of the best players, if not the best player in college football. Or it's a credit to Miami, not letting him get going, however you want to look at it. But seeing him in person against Pittsburgh, and that, big 50-yard touchdown where the defender has him in the hole and he hits him with a 1-2, then spins off the safety. They tackle each other. I mean, that dude is a freak. And I love the 1-2 punch that they have with Price. I think they complement each other really, really well. Offensive line has gotten better. I thought there was a shot they were going to be the worst in college football after seeing them go against Miami. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad what they looked like in that game, and especially how they finished. But they've gotten better, and that's what's fun about this extended playoff. I mean, there would be no shot that these guys were in if it was only a 4-game thing. So now that there's, that cut where they are clearly looking in at this point, then you have the ability to go on a run like you did last year, where you lose to an NIU and you think the sky's falling, and then you look up a couple months later, you're playing in a national championship.
Do you think, and this is your personal opinion, because again, the rankings are what they are, Notre Dame and Miami, Notre Dame or Miami, do you think either one of them are capable of winning a national championship, good enough to win a national championship this year?
No question. And I think that's yes, I do 100%. And I think that's the interesting thing that years before, when there's this fringy, on the outside looking in type of ACC team, the immediate thing is, well, do you think they could beat Bama? Do you think they could beat Georgia? Yeah, I do. Miami has those guys. Notre Dame has those guys. They have the body types. They have the, coaching personnel and minds to, go in these type of games and do that. We've seen it, obviously, and seen them, handle big moments the way that we do. Notre Dame a year ago marching, to the national championship. And of course, Miami at times this year with the people that they play. So I think that the argument of, what would they do against this team on the field? I'm not worried about that. I think it'd be a great game, and I think they could win those for sure.
Do you think we're stuck on kind of a recency bias with Notre Dame and Miami? Like Notre Dame in a positive way because they got over the hump last year. Miami, we look at it, it's like, well, Mario's going to sit on the ball in the fourth quarter again, and it's going to get away from him. I think there's just this suddenly for Notre Dame this expectation that they're going to go on and do it, and there's this the flip of that is Miami is there's this expectation that they are going to lose to Pittsburgh or they're going to play with their food against Virginia Tech. Do you think they get hurt by that at all as much as the ACC situation?
Yeah, that's a great point. And something where how could it not? We're human at the end of the day. We all are, flawed and have our way of thinking. And again, all have our different agendas. If I'm an SEC guy, I'm not saying any of these things, about Miami, right? I mean, we all have, our avenues that we're trying to push and the teams that we are, looking at and the given things that we do. So yeah, probably so. And then that's a fascinating point.
You used to be Mr. Clemson. I'll now call you Mr. ACC, which means we have to ask you, and maybe this is a sore point for you on a number of different levels. So I don't mean to poke the bear, but Syracuse, what went so right against Clemson and their only ACC win, and what's outside of the injury to the quarterback? What's gone so wrong for them?
Is that their only ACC win? You talk about kind of throwing a team to the side. My God, that is awesome that we could lose by 30 to Syracuse at home. Yeah, it's fascinating, man. Everything changed when Angeli got hurt. I mean, it's it's that important of a position. He was that important of a player. I think he was dynamite. I think the times that we saw him get action at Notre Dame, obviously the most popular is what he was able to do in that playoff when he got his opportunity, that playoff game there. But he was fantastic here at Syracuse, and I knew that. I mean, I knew that he would come in and have a seamless transition from Kyle McCord to him, and just the passing attack and the weapons that Syracuse has, and the guys that were ready to take another step, and that all came to a screeching halt. Unfortunately, I think he broke his leg when he hurt his leg,
Achilles,
Achilles, and not able to to go there, and that's unfortunate. So that they are a shell of a team without him. They've made all kinds of staff changes, firings, hirings, moving around. It's a weird spot, for Syracuse right now. And I hope he's back. I don't know what the eligibility situation is for him. I hope he gets another go at it and can be healthy, because he's a tremendous player. And I loved all the, words that Coach Freeman said about him, hoping he makes the trip and get to see him and, things of that nature.
Fran Brown said he expects him back at Syracuse next year for whatever that's worth.
If he has years back, great. I don't know if that's the case or not. I hope so.
Keep playing. All right, last for me, I know how you think it should end up. Does Miami make the CFP? Does Notre Dame make the CFP?
Yeah.
Or is it just one or the other?
Let me pull it up real quick just to see who we need to lose. We collectively, you and I, we're tied together in this thing.
Yes.
I think it's almost a race to 10, right? And that's where you got to be, because I assume Georgia Tech has the ability to win out in ACC play. We'll see if they can beat Georgia, which will be fascinating if they don't. What happens there? I assume they are in. I know a G5 team will be in. So as it stands right now, BYU, Utah out, right? There's that spot there for the automatic qualifiers that are behind them getting in. Then the interesting thing is, can Miami jump those two teams if Alabama loses? If Bama, loses to Auburn, or is there anything they can do to show somehow, some way to get up that high? I don't know. Perfect world for me is both those teams are in. I think they're good enough. I think they're deserving enough to be able to do that.
What I'm so interested to sort of see, which I think is going to start bubbling up in the next week, is like, all right, let's say form holds the rest of the way. Alabama loses to Texas A&M in the SEC championship game by 10 points. It's their third loss. Do they drop below Miami?
Right.
Certainly not. They would stay below Notre Dame at that point.
Right.
And Alabama maybe is the first team out.
Let's not forget that Alabama got their ass kicked in by the worst team in the ACC at one point. Okay.
Yeah, but week one doesn't matter. Clearly,
that's what people tell. That's what you people keep telling me. Maybe you'll want it to matter soon. We'll see.
Oh.
Let me close it with an even tougher question.
Please.
What's the ACC championship game and who wins it?
I don't think it's tough. I think it's Georgia Tech, Virginia. Maybe I'm being very colorful right now because we finally had a good weekend in the ACC. Things happened correctly.
Controls its own destiny, no?
Go ahead. Sorry.
I think SMU controls its own destiny. I think.
There's some. I have emails of the tiebreaker. I'll text it to you. Y'all can talk to it after. I think those two get it done. And Georgia. I think Georgia Tech. I like Georgia Tech a lot. Now the defense is terrifying me, but I feel good about them lining up and being able to operate offense on a high level against anybody in the country.
Yeah, we're in a weird spot where like the ACC probably would prefer its conference champion not to go to the playoff if it keeps Miami out. It's like you want a team to make a run.
I will say that too. I do, just from kind of danced around it a little bit, asking can they play or win a national championship. I do think Miami's the best bet to win playoff games. Just again, body types, complete team. The deficiencies are self-inflicted. Like it's not just like a glaring thing. It'll be fascinating. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, Eric, thanks as always for joining us. You'll get Pittsburgh again this week as the huddle goes to Atlanta for Pitt, Georgia Tech. And hey, Pitt is
that game matters to Narduzzi.
As we know, Pitt is still alive for the ACC championship, and it would be very Pitt for them to upset the Ramblin' Wreck this week. And Eric will be there. Thanks as always for joining us on the Independent, buddy.
Appreciate you guys, man. Great to see y'all.
Welcome back to the Independent. Thanks as always to our friend Eric Mac Lain for joining us. Some great insight into Notre Dame, Miami, the ACC, and beyond. We will get to your questions here in a minute. Before we do that, want to thank our friends at Obvious Shirts, OBVIOUS, SHIRTS.com. Friend of the pod, great pod merch, t-shirts, quarter zips, hoodies, crew necks, you name it. Southern Cal is afraid to play us, still available, as is Domes on Domers, and a number of other fun pod sayings, some of which you guys have some suggestions for here in the comments. So we're always open to hear what the people want to see, what they want to wear. And we thank our friends at Obvious Shirts for making that happen.
Actually, give a shout out to my wife. She had a suggestion that we should take the Sparks Heisman video and turn that into a shirt where we get to love is patient, love is kind, some kind of spin off of that. But I don't know, maybe we can workshop that while we're waiting for a kickoff of Stanford in a couple weeks. Also, our friends at Roback.com, RHOBACK.com, promo code Irish for 20% off your first order. Hoodies, quarter zips, polos, shorts, joggers, pants, pretty much everything you need for an active lifestyle, including Notre Dame officially licensed apparel. Sort of seen the Shamrock ND hoodies. Those look great. Game day polo. Go to Roback.com, RHOBACK.com. Promo code Irish for 20% off your first order.
And thanks to our friends at DraftKings. One play can turn everything around. One upset can quiet all the noise. Snap after snap, the stakes get higher and higher, and no one brings you closer to the action than DraftKings Sportsbook, the #1 sportsbook for live betting. From live betting to odds boosts and so much more, DraftKings Sportsbook has everything you need to stay in the action from kickoff to the final whistle. New customers, this one is for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. Own every Saturday with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code INDEPENDENT. That's code INDEPENDENT to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Let's go to questions. A lot about what you would expect. Notre Dame and Miami. Will go to Archer 00 Arrow. Why did some people act like Miami crushed Notre Dame? Miami was a better team, but not decisively so. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes.
The premise of your question. It was a good game. Miami was a better team. Are they now?
I do
don't
like.
think so.
If I was Miami, I would probably look at that and be like, how the hell did we let Notre Dame get off the mat when we were up 21-7 in the third quarter? Like the vibes of that game for the first three quarters was a lot more like 35-10.
Right.
And then it ended 27-24 with Miami kicking a game-winning field goal with like a minute 4 to play. Like, so, I mean, fully credit for Notre Dame for getting its stuff together on a night when, look, I don't know, were you at the Miami game in 2017?
Oh, 17 I was not, no.
Okay. I mean, I've been there to see what happens when Miami has it rolling against Notre Dame. Like, usually Notre Dame is like, oh, crap, let's get out of here. And they weren't. So full credit to them. Because I think that if Notre Dame had lost to Miami 27-17, I think the conversation about this is totally different.
I think it's a little bit different. I think Notre Dame would probably still be ahead of them. I mean, look, Florida State kicked Alabama's ass that week too.
Yeah.
You know, like these things aren't just like done in a nutshell. I do think Notre Dame has proven to be the better team over the course of the season. Again, I'm not being dismissive of Miami fans who think they should be ranked higher. They have a strong argument. I just don't think it's some grave injustice right now that Notre Dame is ahead of them. Big Daddy. People are up in arms for nothing. Notre Dame has better metrics and an overall better team at this point of the season. Miami should not have lost to two unranked teams if they felt they deserved better. Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Louisville might have been ranked at the time, but yeah, that point.
Yeah, they're not anymore. I mean, that's I don't know who put this graphic out, but it was like top 25 wins, and it was an ACC graphic probably, but listed Miami as 3 top 25 wins. I'm like, wait a minute, who did? No, they don't.
South Florida, maybe at the time.
USF was ranked at the time, and Florida State, I think, was ranked at the time. So it's
that's right. That was their first loss.
Yeah, you can't use Florida State as a top 25 win, folks.
The committee's having it both ways, so who knows?
Yeah.
But by the way, like that South Florida win, Navy just beat South Florida. Notre Dame beat the crap out of Navy. Like strength of schedule. Absolutely. That's one no one's really talking about. Terrence M. TeamBobby.com will feed families. They'll feed them home run and pizza. Terrence M. I think that's a great idea.
We gotta get a Team B going.
Team B. Well, I've got another idea here. Curtis, I'm going to take the question and put my own spin on it. But Juan Jose Rodriguez, our buddy, says, as much as we hated him 96 hours ago, Narduzzi's about to be our biggest friend. Sorry, Pete, more than Lincoln Riley. With Miami on their schedule for the final week of the year, I think, and I don't know what the first piece of this would be, but a t-shirt that says the good, the bad, and the ugly with Narduzzi is bad and Riley ugly, or vice versa, to each their own. Good would be like Brian Newberry. I don't know, like a rival that you have mutual respect for. No? Yeah, sketch.
Let's keep workshopping that, Matt.
Okay. I'm just saying the bad and the ugly, I think we've got that covered here. And I think either can fit on either one. Archer 00 Arrow. What redshirt player will have the biggest impact in the playoffs? I think Greathouse is the obvious one there. The one that's interesting to me, because I was looking at it this week to see like who might not get into the end of the Syracuse game. And Cam Williams has played 4 games so far. Marcelo Diamides played 4 games so far. You know who's played 4 games? And he already took a red shirt, but it crossed my mind when he didn't get in last week. And now I'm starting to wonder if they're saving him. Kenny Minchie. Again, I know he's already taken a red shirt. However, I mean, the NCAA's track record in court when it comes to eligibility cases is not good. No one would obviously say this out loud at Notre Dame, understandably so. But like, do you just save him for the playoff if you want to use him at all? But do you save that year of eligibility and he had a hurt ankle a couple years ago when he was redshirted, and he wants that extra year. I mean, we're thinking far down the road. I just wonder if that calculus is in the coaching staff's mind at all with a guy like that who's already redshirted.
I'm guessing not. My answer, like I get it. Great House is there, and you have to say Great House, but I think it's probably somebody with the last name Flanagan. I'm just not sure which one. Like they're saving a year on both Cooper and James Flanagan.
James has played in 3 games, so he's got to sit out one of these.
Yeah, so they're right there with both of them. Marcus Freeman said James Flanagan, the intention is to redshirt him. Like, no secret there. Cooper Flanagan, they're fine there too at this point. So if you can get one of those guys out there, like they could make a difference in the playoff. I mean, what do we talk about? Notre Dame's issues are they're not good in short yardage. Cooper Flanagan particularly could help you in short yardage. One of those 2 guys I think would be a potential boost in the postseason for Notre Dame.
Maybe Kenny Minchie in short yardage. Maybe.
Plenty of options.
We all thought before the year, like there'd be some package for him, right?
Yeah. Just like I couldn't wait to see Notre Dame's 2-back sets with Love and Price out there together.
But I bring that up because like they're still not good in short yardage. Like they clearly need to do something different. And whether it's 2-back sets or bringing in a second quarterback or a different quarterback.
Why not both? Why can't you have Kenny Minchie and Love and Price out there together? Let's really get crazy.
And Carr, yeah. That'll really mess with the defense's mind. Thad Farley, thoughts on USC and Michigan fight with the Big Ten on private equity? Also, if Michigan becomes independent, will this podcast also cover them? We may have already thrown that out there half jokingly. I do think if there's one team that could pull it off, it would be Michigan.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to the earlier point I think I made on here was these mega conferences, like you're seeing the disharmony all over. And certainly you're seeing that play out in public right now where you've got Michigan without a full-time president right now. The Ev Regent's going out essentially saying the Big Ten's going to make them sign this or they're going to go independent, this or that. Like, I don't think that's a healthy place at all. Like I wrote this preseason and I will double and triple down on that now. It's like, Notre Dame, you sure you don't want to join a conference? It looks so great and harmonious. And oh, by the way, like you're playing dog crap teams from the ACC most year and you're still getting credit for the wins. Like you've got it made in the shade and you can get a bye in theory. It won't happen this year, but like Notre Dame's like sitting really pretty right now. Like you can't complain about anything.
Hear me out, Michigan. How about a 5-game agreement with the ACC? All your Olympic sports can go there. Like we wouldn't even, and then that's how Notre Dame, Michigan gets back on the schedule. But it's an ACC game.
Think about like if USC is off the schedule and then Michigan does what Notre Dame does. Like Notre Dame would have most of its rivals still. You get Stanford, Michigan, Clemson, and Navy every year. In theory.
Yeah. BC,
Miami,
Pittsburgh. I mean,
yeah.
There's some good stuff there.
I think there's
I like it. Come on, Michigan, do it.
Adam Falcone. Pete, take it away.
Hey, Pete, as a middle school dad, any suggestions on how I can get my middle school students to not do that Jeremiyah Love celebration during gym football? See the end of the USC game. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're kind of screwed on this one, Adam. Can we just do like the heart thing with the things and then the arms out? I'm doing this on YouTube right now. I'm not going to do the other one on YouTube. I just think that, you're the whims of youth, Adam. I'm sorry. There's not a whole lot you can do.
Glad I have girls. No, I'm not. There's other problems we got going on. We had a school performance of Pink Pony Club last week, followed by me putting on Hot to Go on in the car this morning, and my daughter saying that's an inappropriate song. I'm like, what did I just watch you perform last week? Eric Fasano. Yes, Bama should be ahead of Bama. I think you mean Notre Dame should be ahead of Bama, but doesn't matter in that if Bama wins out, they'd pass Notre Dame.
Correct.
If they lose again, they drop behind Notre Dame, even if they're 9th this week. I completely agree.
I will be like Alabama losing the SEC championship game would be a hell of a test case for how much that can hurt you in the rankings. Because last year, I think we saw it didn't hurt SMU at all. certainly didn't hurt Penn State. I'm trying to think of who else lost championship games. It didn't hurt Texas. Probably hurt Georgia more that they won it because Carson Beck got hurt. But yeah, just like what happens with Alabama if they lose to A&M? Like, do they drop out entirely because they're going to be right on the cut line?
Can you opt out of championship games? Like, why would you want to play in one? I just don't get it. Unless you're like a bubble team like Clemson was. Well, Clemson was.
Yeah,
a bubble team, but like
especially now because before it was, well, why would you want to play in one? Well, then you can get an automatic bye. Well, not anymore. So
you'll get a bye.
You'll probably get one.
I don't think a bye is benefit. I'd rather play one fewer game before.
Yep.
I don't see a whole lot of benefits of playing in these games. I know. Look, it'll be cool to see Ohio State play in Indiana. Probably 1 versus 2 in Indiana. It'll be a cool event. More often than not, though, that game just doesn't mean much. It didn't really do anything for Oregon last year. That's for sure. Kevin Shudar, question: can we get that 1993 national championship back? Since head-to-head all of a sudden matters. Well, it's interesting you say that because Hugh Freeze just got fired after winning 4 national championships at Auburn because they retroactively claimed 4 during his time. And I see no problem whatsoever with Auburn doing that, Notre Dame doing that for 93. They did in their old stadium interview or old interview room in the stadium before the renovations. They had a sign of their national championship teams, and they had 1993 up there for recruits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't claim it. Like, who's going to tell you no? I don't like. There are far more egregious championships that have been claimed in the history of college football than that one. Like, go right ahead, hang the banner. I'm fine with it. You don't agree?
No, I think you might as well at this point. No, but I feel like once you've moved on, like there's a 20-year statute of limitations. Beyond that, like nobody really cares.
Yeah, I would also agree.
So you got to update some banners in your media guide.
Sarah McGuire, Madden Peak, we expect a live post game after the Stanford game, 10:30 Eastern time start time. Yikes! Am I the only one? I'm a sicko, so I will fully embrace that. I'm pumped for this. Like, I think it's awesome. You're telling me you're not? I mean, I know the game probably won't be good, but like, you're telling me you're a Notre Dame fan and you're not going to stay up 2 extra hours to watch your team's last regular season game? It's a Saturday. It's not a school night.
It's not a school night.
I'm not going to be there. I thought, like, once I saw that, I'm like, let's see how many games I can cover in one day and make it to the after dark game. But flights to San Francisco are way too expensive on Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
Your facial expression is obviously
disagreeing.
No, I mean,
to answer Sarah's question, yes, we will have a post game show. And Sarah, I expect you to be there to ask questions.
I expect all of you to be there. Like, it'll be fun.
Think about Archer 0-0, J Carr.
They'll be the highest rated after dark game probably ever. It's the only game Hawaii's playing that night, but they're on like an app, I think. The people who are watching that game are the diehard fans of both teams, the gamblers, and the quote unquote real ball knowers who will just sit and watch anything late at night. Like, I think it's really cool to have, I guess it would be the second to last regular season game behind Hawaii, but have that window all to yourself. Like, I don't know. I think it's cool. It's probably not fun to travel back to South Bend on that team plane and get home at 4 a.m. or whatever it'll be. But no, actually, it'll be a lot later than that. But it's not like you got a game or somewhere to be the next day or the next week. I think it's exciting.
No, I feel bad for people who want to watch the game in the Eastern time zone. Like, my kids want to watch, or my son wants to watch the game. He will not be staying up to. He is physically incapable of staying up to watch that game. So that sucks. That's a thing I hate about sports in 2025 is they put the games on too damn late. So if like kids want to like watch the games, it makes it impossible. That sucks. I don't care how late I'm up. And I guess I'm with you. I'm sort of in like the sickos camp where just like, how can we make this any more ridiculous than it is? No, like let's do it. Let's go fully ridiculous. This is what I mean. The last time wasn't this the game the last matchup on the Pac-12 network?
Yep.
Last time Notre Dame was there.
Correct.
So yeah, let's go 10:30 Eastern. Why not go 11:30 Eastern?
Why not?
Go crazy.
I think it'll be fun. I'm sympathetic to your son in that regard. I do get it. Like, I always think, like, why can't, like, would it kill MLB to put one World Series Day game on during the day? Like, or just make things easier. I agree with all that, but I don't know. It's a one-off. It's Stanford. Like, it's not like, oh shoot, like body clocks. This game could be tough now. No, it's Stanford. Like, it's going to be drunk and fun, and
it's week 12, right? I mean, it's like if this was early October, I'd be like, oh god, this is not great. But it's not. It's the end of the season. You don't play the next week. You're on Thanksgiving break anyway. I think Notre Dame will be fine. But yeah, I expect some saucy comments in the questions Saturday night / Sunday morning for this.
Sarah McGuire again replying to Brian Kearney. We got to get on and support the guys if they're up late. We'll be there. We'll be there. I'm looking forward to it. Especially, like, it's like what we were saying last week after the noon game. We were like, well, the results aren't in yet, so we can't really say how Notre Dame's going to fare in this week's playoff rankings. Oh, now we'll know everything.
Yeah, we'll have the whole thing at our fingertips.
I need you to get me an Captain Andrew Luck bobblehead. The giveaway looks amazing.
I accept that assignment.
Unlike most cool sports giveaways, I don't know if you'll get a packed house with people lining up to get them all before.
And it needs to go on like the shelf behind you. We've got the houndstooth cap, the rally towel,
Captain Luck,
Penn State, Matt Fortuna football, General Andrew Luck.
President Matt Fortuna, Captain Andrew Luck. I think that's perfect. Yeah. Just two guys born in 1989 who are just trying to make a living. Thomas on West. I welcome a road game to Oklahoma if it happens. Bring it on. Yeah. I think that's like.
I have already booked a Fairfield in Norman, Oklahoma for that.
How many places have you done that for?
Just Eugene and Norman so far.
Say Eugene, you need to. Norman, I mean, you've been there. I mean, yeah, it's not.
Yeah, because you could. Was it Oklahoma City? People flying to there?
It's like 20, 30 minutes. It's not bad. Okay. But I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma lost Mizzou, especially if Bo Prabula plays this week. Like they're playing with fire. Oklahoma is.
I feel like Oklahoma losing to LSU is something so stupid it could happen as well.
See, that would be like peak Brian Kelly if he was still there. Like, I got a 4-loss team that has nothing to play for. I'm going to pull one out of my you-know-what. Less certain about that with Frank Wilson, but I could see it with Mizzou if Bo Prabula plays this week. Zapatos 1290 again. Can we please leave a minute to all screaming yell about all caps a freaking 10:30 p.m. kickoff next week? We'll brew extra pots of coffee. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be a really fun pod.
At Stanford is one of the press boxes where occasionally they'll hand out beer after the game. So I hope that is still a thing.
I need something stronger than that. Archer 00 Arrow. I thought Mandel's mailbag addressed the Miami versus ND comparison well. I read it this morning and I agree. I thought it was pretty reasonable, lukewarm, makes sense take. Josh Scoresby, quote, when the will defies fear, when duty throws the gauntlet down to fate, when honor scorns to compromise with death, that is heroism, end quote. Robert Green Ingersoll. Don't know what this is referring to. I'm ready to run through a wall right now. I thought maybe Captain Andrew Luck.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Said that himself. Maybe he did in another life. But thanks for we'll need quotes like that in the post-game Stanford podcast. All right, Josh, can you bring those for us? I see you have a baby in your picture, which means you'll probably be up at that hour whether you want to or not. So
it's going to be the equivalent of driving on the Indiana Toll Road at 3 a.m, where I like roll down the window.
Done that plenty of times.
Biting my seatbelt, slapping myself in the face, screaming. Yeah, there's going to be a lot to that podcast to get us to the end. But like look, we're fighting the good fight here on the Independent.
Steve Blackiston. Home run and pizza in Terminal 2 at O'Hare revived me before my flight back to Northwest Arkansas after NWA, Northwest Arkansas, after Navy. Thanks for your support, Stephen. We expect to see more of those. We should video people in and see what they're all eating and drinking at that hour. It's Thanksgiving weekend, like leftovers, home run and pizza, some bourbon.
Be the true heroes.
I swear I said this before I saw this next question. Sarah McGuire again. How about whoever shows up to live postgame after Stanford gets a free home run and pizza? I think we'd have to give out a lot. I think we'll have a really good turnout that game. I really do.
Yeah. No, I like Sarah's idea though. I think maybe we could work something out.
Have a giveaway. Yeah. Hunter H. ND at 7 and Miami at 10 would be media fireworks.
Ooh.
Is that possible? I suppose.
I mean, there's got to be a way to get there.
Miami at 10. I don't see how that could happen though. They're not going to be ahead of. Or excuse me.
Number 10 is the last.
You got. Well, yeah. 12 would
So-
be G5. I would think it would be Miami at 11.
Possible. I mean, Alabama needs to kind of crap the bed a little bit, which is possible. USC beating Oregon. Yeah, I mean, you could get there to this. It would be great. I mean, it wouldn't be as good as Lincoln Riley going back to Norman, Oklahoma, but it would still be really good.
It would be good. I prefer no rematches until they're unavoidable, kind of like the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
But yeah, it would be good. Jim Hyman, the post-game pod after the A&M game, said an exorcism of the defense was needed if Notre Dame hoped to reach the playoffs. Is the exorcism complete? I would say so.
Yes. Yeah. Very
Big,
much so, Jim.
Big matchup this week. Chris Ash, former Rutgers head coach, against Syracuse tight ends coach Nunzio Campanelli, who became the interim head coach at Rutgers when Chris Ash got fired. You might know that family, right? Nunzio's first family in Jersey. Brother Nick, head coach.
I want to say like there's a Campanelli coached Elijah Burris and Nolan James Jr. at like DePaul Catholic.
Nick is DePaul. Other brother Vito coached Steve Angeli at Bergen. They're everywhere. The Campanellis. Steve Blackstone again. We Grave Navy can make the American title game. I have no idea if they can because they just spend so much time looking at their tiebreaker. Have no idea how it works. I think if they win, they're in. Now they got to beat Memphis, which we'll see. And I think, do they play North Texas this week? They have a tough remaining schedule. But Navy? I do think if they win out, they're in.
No, I think Navy's down to Memphis this weekend and then Army.
Okay. Though they still got.
But then they'd have to beat somebody in the American title game.
Right. But they got to beat Memphis to get there, which be cool if they did. I don't know if they're going to. But yeah, it seems like nobody really wants that G5 spot. I could see, that conference, the American conference cannibalizing itself and JMU kind of backdoors its way in, which would also be interesting because I don't think their coach is going to be there much longer, Bob Chesney. A lot of back and forth between some of you. Here, Steve. Well, Steve Blackstone again. Sorry, Steve. Or you're welcome, Steve. You have good questions. UConn ND week of champs weekend. Who says no? Ha ha ha. I threw that out there preseason. I don't think it hurts to have to be playing on that last weekend. You can give yourself. Well, Syracuse's game note has independent standings. It says Syracuse is 1-0 against teams from the independent this year.
Yeah, I guess why don't we have a UConn podcast in our network of?
I would do a UConn basketball one. That would be fun for sure. Funny enough, and again, this all really goes back to last year. Fran Brown is 4-4 against ranked opponents at Syracuse. Oop.
Yeah, well, it's going to be 4-5 after this weekend.
I think you're probably right. What a weird, everything that could have gone wrong for Syracuse went wrong, and it's not a program that can withstand those kind of blows. But they had an analyst on their staff, and Kevin Coyle, who literally left midseason to go become the interim defense coordinator at UCLA. I've never seen a midseason move like that, especially for a lame duck job. Just doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah. Should we get to predictions?
We're pretty much. Rajan says Chesney has got it. I agree. I think whoever gets him, possibly the school I just mentioned, will have a home run hire. And I think Syracuse probably should have hired him 2 years ago, as good as Fran Brown's been. Predictions. The line is 35.5. Over under is 50.5. Go for it.
I did poll our friend Tim Murray to see when's the last time Notre Dame was this big of a favorite against a Power 4 school. He's still checking on it. He found minus 35 in 2020 against Syracuse.
They did not cover.
No, I think that they're going to cover. We go 55-0.
Wow.
I think this will look like the Georgia Tech game, which ultimately was Brian Kelly's final home game, where the other team is just so. And I think that team had Jahmyr Gibbs on it, but I just think this Syracuse team is just so pathetic. They absolutely have nothing at all going for them. So I think this one will look a lot like Georgia Tech in 21, and then Boston College maybe in 2022. Like just limb from limb, absolute murder. So I'll go Notre Dame 55, Syracuse 0.
So Notre Dame's won their last 8 senior day games. They are 6-2 against the spread. More importantly, going back to that last Brian Kelly year, 4-0 against the spread, cumulative score of 179-21. Which does not include 2020 Syracuse, which they won 45-21. I'm not completely in that camp of like it's going to be 55-0, although I don't think it'll be competitive. I'll go 42-10, which I guess is not a cover, but it is get you over. I don't think the most intriguing part to me will be like who's playing in the second half. Is Kenny Minchie playing? What do we see out of him? What, how many freshman receivers get in? Syracuse, I believe, is starting a freshman walk-on quarterback, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. He's 7 of 21 on the season passing.
Good. That should be a fun game. I don't think it can be much worse than Ricky Collins was, though. I mean, his team was bad when Bill Belichick went into Carrier Dome and beat the daylights out of them on Halloween night. So I'll go 40. What did I say, 42-10? Yeah, let's go 42-10. I don't think it'll be close. I don't think it'll be entertaining. Well, be entertaining early if you're a Notre Dame fan. But get out of this one healthy. Get on to Stanford. Do the same thing at Stanford. Rinse, wash, repeat. And then we all sit and wait first week in December and see where these guys end up. But I think this will be a drama-free game.
I think it would behoove Notre Dame to beat Syracuse more than 38-10.
Yep. I'm assuming that's the Miami score.
Miami beat them.
Which is Syracuse's last game. They're
So I think that there will be some motivation to really hang it on them. I think Marcus Freeman and Fran Brown have a good relationship that might just have to be tabled for an afternoon.
Yeah, there's no friends in this game. Really quickly, Juan Jose Rodriguez, Matt Pete, what's the site where we can plug in results and see what the standings output would be, as in with the AC and other conferences? I literally have it open right now, Juan. It's bball.notnothing.net. Again, this looks like my Angel Fire fantasy football website from 5th grade. I don't know who's behind it, but he or she is doing the Lord's work. It's an incredible resource during the month of November, especially in the age of mega conferences. Free advertising.
Well, thank you, bball.notnothing.net. We appreciate your service to us understanding tiebreakers and our listenership. So I guess on that note, we'll wrap up this episode of The Independent. Thanks for Eric Mac Lain for stopping by the show. And Matt and I will be back early Saturday evening, right?
Yeah, no, like normal.
For our last post-game podcast that ends before midnight, because the next one isn't even going to start before midnight.
Well, where you'll be, it'll be before midnight.
Hope so.
We'll be recording the pod in 2 different days. How's that sound?
Yeah, that'd be a first.
Time travel.
Yeah. So we appreciate you being with us. Matt and I will talk to you again on Saturday afternoon/evening. So until then, thanks for being with us on this episode of The Independent.